If you're with somebody who constantly pushes you down, controls everything that you do, makes you feel less about yourself and physically harms you, you're in an abusive relationship. And in this video, I'll go over some key warning signs of abusers, the different types of abuse, and what you can do if you're being abused. Let's go. First things first, what exactly is abuse? Abuse is any action towards someone, sometimes something, with cruel and or malicious intent. Somebody disrespectfully yelling at you and berating you, that's verbal abuse. Somebody making you feel bad about everything that you do, controlling everything that you do, and penalizing you for literally everything, even when you're not doing nothing wrong, that's manipulation, which is a form of mental abuse. And this one is pretty obvious, but when somebody physically harms you, that's physical abuse. Realize that these are just a couple of examples of what abuse is, and it would literally be impossible for me to list every variation of abuse. Now that you understand this, understand that abuse is not limited to physicality. I say this one more time. Just because somebody is not beating on you, but they're making you feel terrible about yourself and doing you wrong in every other type of way, you're still being abused. And the majority of the time, mental abuse is the worst kind, because mental abuse can lead to a plethora of psychologically traumatic problems for the victim. Now, the only reason why you here is because you suspect that you or somebody you know is in an abusive relationship. Being aware of these warning signs early on will assist you in the process of leaving before things get worse. Abusive tendencies normally start off with a lot of yelling and criticism. Due to the fact that abusers have difficulty expressing their emotions and professionally vocalizing their problems, you'll more than likely find yourself on the receptive end of a lot of insults, alongside being yelled at for little to no reason. Normally, abusers are very impulsive and exhibit irrational and sometimes unreasonable behaviors. For example, you might find yourself being blamed for things that you're not doing. In the same instances, you might have been called out of your name a couple times and made out to be the bad guy. If you haven't picked up on it by now, I'm referring to the scenario of somebody blaming you for cheating on them, when you've done nothing to be accused of being unfaithful. Now, this normally happens in abusive relationships where the abuser themselves is cheating on their partner and utilizes mental and emotional abuse to reflect the actuality of their misdeeds back at their partner. So if this is happening to you, that means that your partner is cheating on you, and you need to leave them because it's something that they'll continue to do. Also, watch out for frequent signs of insecurity if your partner has given you red flags that they might be abusive. Now, insecurity itself is not a form of abuse, but it's definitely not unlikely for it to lead to some abusive behaviors. For example, if you're about to go out for the night and you dress nicely and you're told that your attire is a little too revealing, and you know that it actually isn't, or you're told that you're dressed a certain way to impress or appeal to somebody else, you're being manipulated. And it doesn't end there either. An abuser may even tell you that you're too unattractive for your outfit of choice and go change it to something that satisfies them. Or they might even threaten to do something to you if you don't change it to something of their choice. Now, this is happening because they don't want you to feel good about yourself because of how low they feel about themselves. To some extent, insecurity problems for an abuser can lead to controlling behaviors in a relationship. If you feel that you're being controlled, your partner might overtalk you a lot and or not give you a chance to speak or voice your opinion. They might even tell you to shut up a lot and limit what you're able to say or do. Now, what's happening is that they're doing their best to overwhelm you, to give themselves a sense of superiority and power over you. They feel that if they can inform you that you're weaker than them in every conceivable way, it'll make it easier for them to take advantage of you and give them a sense of dominance. Also, realize that controlling behaviors can also be physical as well. Abusers usually like to restrict their partner's movement by frequently grabbing a hold of them. These behaviors can consist of grabbing a hold of somebody to prevent them from walking away, or grabbing somebody's face while they're berating them. Now, when it comes to calling out an abuser, they're known for doing three things that you absolutely have to pay attention to: minimizing the severity of their actions, not taking responsibility, and playing the blame game. An example of minimizing things would be if your boyfriend or girlfriend did something incredibly hurtful and disrespectful, and instead of making you feel better about the situation, they tell you that it isn't a big deal and you should get over it because they didn't hurt you that bad. Now, accountability and blame more or less work hand in hand. Abusers never take responsibility for the horrible things that they do, and when somebody calls them out on it, they'll make excuses and blame their actions on everybody but themselves. Abusers are experts at the blame game, and even if an abuser punched you in the face, it's somehow your fault and not their fault because you did something to deserve to get punched in the face. That's how people with abusive ways see the world. Now, it's another very important thing that you need to know, and that's most, if not all, abusers were actually victims of abuse at one point in time themselves. When a human being is victimized, it normally occurs in early childhood, where the brain is incredibly malleable, and this is the stage where set precedents have the most significance. Any and every behavior that an abuser exhibits was done to them before at one point in time. So if you're with somebody who constantly insults you and makes you feel like you're less of a person, it's because early in their childhood, somebody did that to them first. Now, you can tell if you're suffering from psychological trauma if you're exhibiting behaviors and you don't know why you're acting the way that you do. You might have a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde type of complex, and might not fully understand what's making you think and act certain ways. Now, when it comes to helping somebody who's abusive, they first have to want help. All forms of change and self-betterment start with the subject at hand taking ownership of what they've done. And learn to stop blaming people for your problems and stop running away from your problems. I can 100% empathize with the fact that you were a victim of abuse at one point in time, and you became this way as a result of that. But realizing that you're perpetuating a vicious cycle should be motivation enough for you to seek help, so you can stop what you're doing and change for the better. Since this is a battle that's almost impossible to fight alone, my personal advice is to visit a therapist or a psychiatrist so you can receive some sort of diagnosis and figure out what actually caused you to become this way. Now, it won't happen overnight, but all you have to do is stay consistent and persevere and accept that it's your responsibility to be a better version of yourself, not anybody else's. Especially when you're in a relationship with somebody. Seeing somebody mentally and emotionally broken from being on the receiving end of your wrath should make you want to change for the better. And you should feel the need to want to better yourself if you truly love that person. But that does it for this one, everybody. If you like this video, make sure you click that like button. And if you're new around here, make sure you subscribe for more content. With that being stated, I'm out. Y'all take it easy.